So hey guys, it's me Anime What If and this is our new series What If Kakashi hates Naruto during Chunin exam. If you like this type of content, so don't forget to like and subscribe our channel and let's get started.
His excitement was palpable. Some may say it is wrong to be excited about this. What is to be the greatest test of his life, but he was. It has been a long road, fraught with challenges and mistakes, but if he can accomplish his life's goal here, it'd be worth it. He'd finally be free to start living, to focus on something other than her. What made it all the sweeter was that he was going to do this with the support of his best friend, the person following closely behind him. "Oi, Dobi, remember our deal," Sasuke said as they made their way down the corridor to the main hall. "I'm aware, Teme. She's yours unless you get in over your head," Naruto said while rolling his eyes. The two share no more words as they head toward what promises to be the most difficult confrontation either of them have had since they fought each other at the Valley of the End. Sasuke would be thankful for the rest of his days that his friend managed to defeat him that day. He wasn't immediately and said every hateful thing he could think of to the blonde while in Anbu lockup. He cursed his very existence, even after the blonde pleaded with the Hokage to grant him a measure of leniency. It was well after Naruto left for his training trip that Sasuke managed to become thankful to his friend, and he was grateful Naruto forgave him instantly upon his return. Team 7 was back and better than ever. Konoha intelligence had received word that the Akatsuki killed Orochimaru and that Itachi and Kisame were seen in a part of Fire Country near an abandoned Uchiha hideout. Sasuke requested the mission to apprehend her and Kisame. He had to admit he was surprised when the mission was cleared. The squad left an hour later with Naruto receiving a hug from Hinata as they departed. He thought it weird at the time, not knowing those two were together. When they arrived at the hideout, Kakashi and Sakura elected to take on Kisame so Naruto and he could advance. While Kisame said it was supposed to be a private meeting between siblings, even he knew he wasn't going to beat Kakashi, Sakura and Naruto by himself. The duo wasted little time passing him by, Sasuke moving a little quicker, unable to hide his anticipation. The pair arrived to see Itachi sitting upon a throne, which Naruto helpfully classified as boss bitch status. After an exchange of words, Sasuke and Itachi engage each other in a fever-pitched battle. Shuriken Jutsu countered Shuriken Jutsu, Kaden Jutsu countered Kaden Jutsu. Sasuke even managed to reverse one of Itachi's Genjutsu. The young Avenger was doing well against the Uchiha prodigy, but both knew they would be escalating their fight. Naruto was content to remain on standby, actually keeping his eyes closed and allowing his sensor ability to relay any pertinent information about the exchanges between the two combatants. As the two were really starting to take things to the next level, Naruto felt a troubling chakra fluctuation and without second thought he acted. The two Sharingan users were surprised to see the blonde blur emerge between them. Sasuke more than Itachi as he watched his best friend sink the second knuckle of his index finger into Sasuke's chest, before rotating it and ending with a palm strike. The blow immediately caused Sasuke's heart to go into arrhythmia. Itachi, still shocked by Naruto's actions, didn't have time to react to the shadow clone that placed a paralysis seal on her. Naruto made another clone to attend to Sasuke and keep the boy from dying as he attended to his target. Without wasting a moment or a movement, Naruto and his initial shadow clone placed Itachi on a prepared sealing array. The two then started to blur through a series of hand signs. It is only because her Sharingan were still active that Itachi knew it was 140 seals performed flawlessly. Before she could start to break down what the extensive sealing chain could do, she was engulfed in a golden glow as the sealing array started to move up her body before concentrating on her neck. It took less than 3 minutes for the process to complete, and when it was done, Itachi had a seal on her neck, near her left collarbone in the shape of an Uzumaki spiral. The new nin was beyond confused. First, her foolish little brother's friend attacked him and incapacitated her. He then went through some complex sealing procedure, but instead of hurting, she felt better than she had in years. She could no longer control her curiosity. "Naruto-kun, what did you do to me?" she asked. "In short, I healed you." "Why? Don't ask questions you already know the answer to," Naruto shot back, clearly annoyed with the Uchiha. Taking note of his tone, Itachi relents and asks a different question: "How?" Ba-chan's creation rebirth mixed with a non-evil version of Orochimaru's curse mark. Given the potency and composition of my chakra, it is ideal for radical healing. It took a lot of clones, a lot of hours to come up with that, so I hope you appreciate it. You know I don't. This was not a matter for you to interfere. And why, if this was a one-time usage, do I still feel your seal at work? I regret getting you that beginner's book on seals. Ignoring her initial comments, Naruto answers her, if your condition was degenerative, which I suspect it was, reversing the damage doesn't cure the condition. The seal will continue to fight off whatever it is that brought you this close to death. It should even work the same for your eyes. Is this the part where I thank you because I feel anything but gratitude? I needed to die here. Sasuke was going to bring honor back to our clan. Yay, can't have the world knowing they were going to stage a coup. How? Danzo. I had to torture him for 2 weeks to get the full story. You just snapping or testing your limits or whatever other bullshit tale you and the crones were spinning never made sense to me. I didn't buy it for a minute. You were always more clever than people realized. Itachi said, are you going to tell Sasuke? Undo all I sacrificed for? No, Itachi. I won't tell your precious little brother he's been dedicating himself to a lie. Naruto said, unable to hide the annoyance in his voice. Then what, Naruto? What's next on your master plan? Did you think you'd save me and I'd jump into your arms? You're an even greater fool than Sasuke, as if that's the case. Itachi spat. You've asked that more than once now. No, Itachi. I don't expect anything of nor from you. Trust me, I know exactly who you are. You're alive, that's enough for me. No, you don't know me, Naruto-kun. I was just a guard that was nice to you, nothing more. Replied Itachi, and noticed Naruto flinch but hold off a response. To think, all this trouble because I took pity on some lonely orphan. Completely ruining my plans over a misplaced crush. Sentimental idiot. Believe what you want, Itachi. Naruto said, finishing checking his seal. It doesn't matter, you're alive, so I've accomplished my goal. If Sasuke doesn't kill you for this, I will. I won't allow this insult to pass, Naruto. You aren't going to kill me. I'm too valuable to Konoha. Not if Akatsuki gets you. I seem to incapacitate you easy enough. Sasori and those zombie assholes would all likely disagree with you as well. I'm a lot of things, weak isn't one of them. I disagree. You're the weakest kind of person, ruled by your emotions to the point of egoism. At least it saved Sasuke. I've clearly failed, my seal has made you stupid, Itachi-chan. Do you think all I've done to save your brother was because of some deep abiding friendship? Please, I wanted nothing to do with the psycho, except I know you'd want him to be somewhat stable, and I was never going to allow him to kill you. Even if it's what I want. Yes, find a better way to deal with the guilt. Like what? Drinking like Tsunade or perversion like Jiraiya? Maybe I'll do both and send you the pictures. Would you enjoy that, Naruto? Watching your precious Itachi-chan taking it in every hole by a group of men and none of them are you? You could be my little cuckold. How'd you like that? Itachi spat, uncharacteristically emotional. Do what you wish, Itachi. It's your life. You pick an excellent time to realize that. I was so close, Naruto. So close to atoning, to being at peace and free of all of this. You shouldn't have taken that away from me. Maybe, maybe not. Too late to worry about it now. I'll just try again, Naruto. You've only delayed things and you can't always be around Sasuke. Once again, maybe maybe not. But if you're dead, I no longer have reason not to kill Sasuke, and as good as you are, I have more access to him than you do. Allowing Sasuke to kill you assures his death. You live and I'll protect him, even from himself. You assume my loyalty to Konoha is such that I won't kill you to protect Sasuke. That, and you don't want to kill me. You still overvalue my pity. Itachi, look at me. Naruto said, pausing until she made eye contact. I know. I knew each and every time, so why are you pretending? Naruto said as he watched Itachi's eyes light up in recognition. Clever boy, indeed. How did you know? You didn't break my genjutsu. Genjutsu is said to disrupt chakra flow, but chakra flow is like a river. Instead of fighting your invasion, I just moved my chakra in a way in which I wouldn't break the illusion but still be conscious of the artifice. The guises you picked didn't help, some might even call them spiteful. Spiteful? As in, how dare you look at any woman that's not me? Idiot. So, that the first time you looked like Haku, the second a Tsunade with a smaller bust and the next a Shizune wasn't intentional? Yes, intentional. Figured you'd be easier to manipulate if they were to resemble existing preferences. You think I have a thing for Bon? A woman I call Bon? You sick foo. Stop your posturing, Naruto. Besides, given the results of the evening, why are we debating this? Because that's pervy, Datbeo. Itachi couldn't help but snicker. Seeing a break in the blonde's cool disposition made her want to press the advantage. I noticed you only mentioned the first three. I'm surprised the last one didn't work. Who wouldn't want a guilt-free night with their own superfan? Even geniuses can be wrong. Naruto said. But why, I wonder. The star-cross enemy Kunoichi was okay. The mother and sister figures didn't give you pause. The shy heiress, however, that was the line. What, felt too guilty that you didn't return her feelings? Something like that. Naruto replied, sadly. Surely you can provide more details than that. I may not be the best at social cues, but even I, eventually, realized she had feelings for me. I asked her and she said yes. I then had to request she move on from me. As great as she was, I didn't think I could truly return her feelings, not completely. That I was once saved from my personal hell by someone and couldn't move past them, to my obvious detriment. Maybe I'll pay her a visit then. Show her what we got up to, maybe let her know the only one he rejected was her lookalike. What do you think, Naruto-kun? That should really help her self-esteem. Do what you want, Itachi. That's it? No declarations about protecting your precious people? Hinata isn't weak, your little game wouldn't be as harmful as you think. Besides, I doubt someone stoic to the point of emotional impairedness, outside of an unhealthy obsession with her brother, would bother to do such a thing just to hurt me. Anyway, the paralysis seal will go inactive in about 10 minutes, which should give your body enough time to adjust. Try to take it easy for a few days. Naruto said as he walked over to collect an unconscious Sasuke. Before he reached the exit to the room, Itachi spoke. You will honestly protect him? It's a promise of a lifetime. Naruto said before retreating away from the hall. If he had stayed, he would have seen the smile gracing Itachi's face. As Naruto emerged from the exit, he saw a beaten and battered Kakashi and a nearing exhaustion Sakura seemingly at a stalemate with Kisame, though he didn't look all that bad. Naruto had to suppress the urge to roll his eyes while wondering if he could convince the Akatsuki to stop collecting the Biju just so he could join. It'd be nice to work with competent shinobi more often than he did. Kisame saw the blonde exit the hideout with the lesser Uchiha in tow and grew concerned. Not bothering to continue the fight, he dashed toward his partner. The Konoha nin took the opportunity to return to the village. Kisame found Itachi looking no worse for wear and was confused as to what happened, at least momentarily. After that moment, he cackled, loudly. His laughter echoed throughout the building and he didn't stop until Itachi was finally able to move as she tried to shut him up with a Kaiden jutsu. Why are you being so mean, Itachi? Because you're being obnoxious. Maybe I am, but it isn't every day you prove Itachi Uchiha wrong, he said with a great deal of mirth. How could you possibly know? You're fine, the whelp looked fine and Loverboy sure as shit was fine. Just admit it and be prepared to pay up. I'm thinking sushi and a lot of it. I told you your boyfriend was going to intervene. Shouldn't never threw that nasty at him. Got the boy all open. Kisame said, smiling the entire time. Shut up, Kisame. Not until you admit it. Fine, Naruto-kun delayed Sasuke's and my duel. It's only a temporary setback. I'm sure. Samahata said your chakra feels whole, again. Were you healed with the power of love, Itachi? I'll kill you and that sword both if you don't watch it. She said, glaring at the larger shinobi. Man, I should have convinced your boyfriend to stay longer. You were always much nicer after you spent the night with him. I sincerely hate you, Kisame. I love you too, partner. He sensed her the moment she walked into the bar and thanked his training. The extent to which she was suppressing her signature, she could have gotten past his abilities before Jiraiya and he left on their trip. It was difficult to manage the sense of excitement coursing through his body, as if hit with a surplus of new energy that needed to be used, expressed. Instead, he stayed where he was, nursing his drink. He couldn't even remember what it was. The barkeep had recommended it, but it was little more than a distraction. Naruto had to admit that for an out-of-the-way place, it was decorated quite nicely. Not too bright, nor too dark. Plenty of private tables, even the bar has an impeccable wood finish. It was as he was trying to distract himself with the design of the bar that he felt her chakra invade his system. He had to fight his natural impulse to reject the intrusion, his curiosity outweighing sound decision-making, so instead he concentrated on the flow of his chakra, making sure the foreign presence wouldn't be disrupted but couldn't fully take hold. From one point of his body to the next, he felt his chakra flow increase slightly above its natural resting state. She took the seat beside him and greeted him with a smile. It momentarily threw him off, how much she looked like an older Haku, if the kimono and the hair bun are similar. He'd compliment her on her sources if it wouldn't ruin the game. The two make small talk, nursing their drinks. Naruto says his name is Hiru and claims to be a writer. Itachi says her name is Miko and is in talent acquisition. Eventually the drinks start being consumed a little faster, the lies become a little closer to the truth. He finds the back and forth exhilarating while simultaneously damning its necessity. They talk the night away until Miko states she has to turn in for the night, then requests if Hiru would mind walking her back to her room, for safety. He hesitates for only a moment, liquor and hope overriding initial concerns of a delayed setup, but he extends his sensory range just to be sure. He may be a little too drunk to fight, but he isn't too drunk to flee. The walk back to her inn was mostly quiet, with her arms wrapped around his. There is a part of him, a part he rarely indulges, that laments that this can't be a regular occurrence, wishing his life wasn't so antithetical to normalcy. He dutifully escorts her to her room, fully expecting this to be it until he hears her say, "Would you like to come in?" Most of him screamed, no. Not just his shinobi instincts but the little part of self-awareness his drunken mind has held on to realizes if this goes where he thinks it could, that would be utterly embarrassing. He doesn't know what to do with a woman. Well, he has some idea thanks to Jiraiya, but he'd be entirely too nervous to even remotely pull that stuff off. This is Itachi, despite what people say your first time shouldn't be with the one you love. That's like your first shinobi battle being with a freaking cage. You got to get some experience under your belt, perfect your moves. While much of Naruto was slipping into an uncharacteristic bout of crippling insecurity, another part of him spoke up. "You got this." That voice that let him stare down Zabuza, that let him beat Gaara and challenge Tsunade. Oh, confident Naruto was in the building. And he seemed to be supercharged by the liquor in his system because he was sounding extra smooth and commanding tonight. Like it wanted to sell him some Colt 45 in Cloud City smooth. Just take it slow and let the night goes where it goes. Besides, this won't be the first time you tussled with an S-rank kunoichi. He listened to that voice. Naruto gave a response, one he still isn't sure about, but it was in the affirmative and he'd hope it was cool. Itachi wasted no time once the door was shut, kissing him aggressively and he returning her gesture with equal fervor. It escalated from there, Naruto's unnatural belief in himself, high stamina and undesired lectures from Jiraiya making up for his lack of experience. Even while wrapped up in their activities he couldn't help note the bitter sweetness of it all. How he longed to see her face and hear her real voice, to not have to do this behind a hastily crafted fiction. Was it really too much to ask that he be granted a moment of happiness with no strings attached? He supposed it was, since it never happened, every benefit came with a cost. Hearing her moan and the feel of her breath on his neck sent a chill down his spine, the rest of it was almost too much to even comprehend. They fell asleep in each other's arms, both silently thankful for the moment they got to share. She was gone by morning with no trace she had been there the night previous. In the quiet of the morning Naruto was able to think. In the past, thoughts of the short time Itachi was in his life warmed his heart, and while he missed her terribly, he was always able to fill that hole with wishing she was well or hoping she was safe. Also, his focus on becoming a respectable and skilled shinobi as was her example gave him a sense of connection to her. The embers of longing were quenched by these activities. Childish wants and desires are easily sated. But now, Naruto was becoming a man, grappling with maturing impulses and desires. What were once mere embers had now sparked into a flame. Not all-consuming, not unmanageable, but also not easily tended to. It was this that allowed him to speak something he had never previously allowed himself to think. A simple 3 words he had dutifully avoided with all the discipline he could muster. "I want her." He said it quietly but with absolute conviction. The spoke desire instantly became something more. No longer would it suffice to hope she's okay, that was too passive. Passivity is for children and he no longer had the luxury to be a child. Immediately plans, goals, obstacles and schemes started spinning in his head. He knew getting her away from the Akatsuki and proving her innocence would be inordinately difficult, but it needed to be done. Naruto took a shower before exiting the inn, the entire time feeling lighter despite the tasks placed before him. He was sitting across from the Hokage. It had been a week since they returned from that botched mission to kill Itachi and had been given some time off as it was technically an S-rank mission, though it didn't pay like it, he mused. He didn't know why he was here, but given Tsunade's smug look and Jiraiya hiding in the corner, it couldn't be anything too bad, but also in no way would it be good. Tsunade began looking at a file on her desk before she spoke, deciding to read aloud. Special Junin Uzumaki Naruto. Specializes in Fuinjutsu but demonstrated proficiency in Tai and Ninjutsu as well. Junin has been subject to observation from Inoichi Yamanaka since age 5. Mind healer to be cautious of any warning signs of mental distress or deterioration due to isolation and discrimination. Besides hyperactivity and attention-seeking, Inoichi reported no issues until age of 7. Subject had been uncharacteristically tired, unmotivated and preferred to stay in his apartment. Symptoms lasted for 3 weeks before a slight but noticeable change. Change continued throughout time at the academy. After avoiding the depressive state, Subject began to do better in school, eventually becoming the 5th-ranked student in his class by the age of 9, where he held that position for the duration. Inoichi notes that due to the prejudice of the village and instructors, Subject was not treated as if he were a high-achieving student. Subject eventually demonstrated a stunning, for his age, proficiency for seals, but true level was never determined. At age 11, Subject blackmailed Sandaime Hokage for the Shadow Clone Jutsu by promising to not look into the seal Subject, recently, discovered on abdomen. Inoichi speculates Subject has known of the seal a great deal longer but kept the information secret until it was useful. Demonstrates ability to be manipulative beyond what his age would suggest. After receiving Genin rank, Subject placed on Team 7 by request, violating the established top students and dead last tradition, however, allowing others to assume he was the dead last. Misconception not helped by Subject's bright personality and general lightheartedness when not on assignment. Inoichi argued against team placement for that reason and one other. While subtle to most, Subject shows clear disdain for Uchiha Sasuke. Source of the animosity was and still unknown, but forcing the two to work together would only increase the effects. Further observation by Inoichi concluded that while the animosity never decreased, Subject had taken to manipulating the Uchiha by playing to his ego and constantly downplaying the subject's, own skills and contributions. By time of Chunin exams, Subject showed hidden hostility toward Uchiha Sasuke and Junin sensei Hitaki Kakashi. Inoichi speculates Subject finds Hitaki to be a subpar sensei that is stunting the team's growth. An argument with more weight after Hitaki-san was the deciding factor in denying the Subject his promotion to Chunin even though he was not there to view the Subject's match, a factor forgotten by the promotion panel until after the promotions had been finalized. She stopped quoting to look at Naruto. It goes on, Naruto. Inoichi can't decide if you're a flight risk, a potential double agent or what, but what he is certain of is that no one really knows you. He hasn't ever been able to zero in on the source of your change. Your intense dislike of the Uchiha, even given all outward evidence you view him as a friend and other concerning issues, but after this mission I think I figured it and subsequently you out. I'm so confident I'm going to play a game. Question for a question. No lies, no half-truths, no bullshit. The blonde Hokage said, "You've always been straight with me in the past, so I trust you'd keep to trend." Who starts? Naruto asked. You. Who are my parents? Naruto questioned, testing her resolve. Tsunade doesn't pause before she answers. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, second Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Well, shit, Naruto said and adopted an impassive look on his face. My turn. Did that mission really happen the way you said it did? No. Why is Jiraiya hiding in the corner? Curiosity and safety precaution. He, too, was concerned you weren't up front with him even after 3 years together. Do you know what happened to Danzo Shimura? Yes. Do you really believe I can replace you one day? Absolutely. Do you know of his connection to the Uchiha massacre? Yes. Who was the first container? My grandmother. It's been something of a family affair. Why did you pump Sakura for information on my creation rebirth? Fuinjutsu project. I'll pass. Was it successful? By all appearances, but only time will tell. Why did you take Sakura as an apprentice? For you, she said and savored the look of surprise on Naruto's face. Where is Danzo now? I honestly have no way of knowing that. Did you know my parents? Not well, Kushina and I never got the chance to get close due to the war and my leaving the village. It's one of the things I'm not proud of, given she was Mito's legacy just as much as I was. I really didn't know Minato at all. How good are you at Fuinjutsu really? Better than Jiraiya, though I was approaching his level when we met. Once he agreed to train me, I held off so I could see how he thought in case he ever slapped a seal on me. High-level seals are as much about the creator's voice, so to speak, as it is about theory, and given the only active Sannin liked to play the perverted fool, I wasn't sure how much I could trust him. Wait, that's why you've been cagey with me? Said Jiraiya, now revealing himself. Yes. I cared for the old man deeply, but once I realized he was hiding things from me, I felt no need to be 100% honest with him. You pretended to want nothing to do with me only to turn around and have me sign the Toad contract. I'm blonde, not dumb. Figured if you weren't going to be straight with me, then I'm under no obligation to be straight with you. Why aren't you asking me what you really want to ask me, Ba-chan? Because I find it amusing. So, how long have you been in love with Itachi? In love, I don't know. Loved? Since she saved me. Naruto answered and was greeted with a smile from Tsunade, but not one born of smugness but of sad understanding. How did you figure it out? Mostly from what was missing from Inoichi's report. Someone as outgoing as you, and yet it made no mention of a crush or love interest. It makes sense for the Uchiha. He's bent all wrong, but you? I didn't buy that for a second, not with how fast you take to people. Finding out who was in your Anbu detail and who could have hidden interaction from Sensei, and the list was narrowed down pretty fast. I'm guessing she broke protocol and started to interact with you? Yes. And you never believed the official story about the Uchiha massacre? No. Why? Because someone who kills their entire clan on a whim likely wouldn't bother coming to say goodbye to one of their missions. She spoke to you? Asked Tsunade, surprised. No, she thought I was asleep. I thought I half dreamed it for the longest time. So, she just came to say goodbye and left? Tsunade asked, and say a slight pink to Naruto's cheeks. Basically, the teen said, hoping to move off this topic. Basically, both Sannin asked, Naruto's hopes dashed. She said bye and kissed me on the cheek, okay? He rushed out. Tsunade would think it cute if Itachi hadn't just committed mass murder but pushed on regardless. Have you had any contact with Itachi outside of your mission to retrieve me, Gaara's rescue, and this most recent mission? Yes. When? During the training trip, she approached me hanged, supported by Genjutsu. That's not possible, Naruto, why didn't you tell me? You could have been at risk. Jiraiya said, stunned by the admission. It was a private matter, and if she had wanted to capture me she would have brought that walking chakra beacon. She didn't. She wasn't even armed. How could you possibly know that? Asked Tsunade. Shit. Observation? Naruto replied with zero confidence. Naruto, what aren't you telling us? Jiraiya asked, getting increasingly worried. Can we just drop it? We know she's not a traitor, she didn't hurt me. Isn't that enough? No, because you are desperate to avoid this topic. Naruto, what aren't you telling us? We spent the night together. Naruto said, avoiding all eye contact. As in, spent the night together? Jiraiya asked, wanting to still be mad at the boy but also feeling the overwhelming need to start his latest ichi. You banged Itachi? Ew, don't say banged, Ba-chan. Matter of fact, for all intents and purposes I will not discuss my sex life with you. This is weird and wrong, and you're a Ba-chan, so you shouldn't even know about sex, let alone mention it to virgin ears. But you aren't a virgin, idiot. Tsunade said, sporting a tick mark. My ears don't know that. Stop trying to mentally scar me, arrow Bon. Jiraiya could only facepalm as he watched the weird ritual between the two. It's like if they didn't have at least one argument every time they spoke, the interaction would be lacking. It just didn't get it. Don't you call me that, Arrow Gaki. I'm not the one sleeping with S-rank missing Nen. Did you at least hold off long enough for her to properly seduce you, or did she just tap you on the shoulder and you were ready to go? For your information, queen of all perversion, it was beautiful and intimate each time. Shit, what do you mean, each time? You allowed this to happen more than once? Was part of your training how to make decisions with your dick? Don't say dick, Arrow Granny. I'm too young to hear you say words like that. You keep up and I'm going to have to become a monk to purify myself. Shut it, Gaki. Don't change the topic, which is you screwing someone out to kill you. But she wasn't. You didn't know that. I strongly suspected. Jiraiya, this is your fault. How was he alone long enough, often enough to carry out an affair? Spy network. Naruto offered. Yes, that's it. I call shenanigans, but let's stay focused. Naruto, what were you thinking? I don't know. That for a few moments we could be something else, something approaching normal, not too marked people. That I could be happy even for just a bit. Naruto said with pure defeat in his tone. Both Sanen's eyes soften at the boy, no young man, that often has the weight of the world on his shoulders. And neither take joy in what they know they had to do. Jiraiya managed to steel himself first and spoke. Naruto, you know there's no future there. Best case scenario is Itachi extracts herself from the Akatsuki and goes into hiding. She wouldn't be welcomed back to the village. I'm aware it's unlikely. No, Naruto, not unlikely. Impossible. It won't happen. It can't happen, Jiraiya said, firmly, and watched his apprentice slump. Normally, Naruto wasn't one to accept something as impossible, but he didn't offer up a word of protest. However, his body language shouted his defiance. Jiraiya often bemoaned Naruto was too much like his mother, but truthfully he was just as much like Minato, and damn it, that wasn't a constant pain in the ass. He could try to talk Naruto out of whatever he has planned, but Jiraiya doubted it would work. He could only hope his attempts to exonerate Itachi doesn't lead to more pain for all involved. The shinobi lifestyle takes from all who are a part of it, but it doesn't take equally. If the world were fair, someone as good as Naruto and loyal as Itachi could be with their heart's desire, but the world is rarely fair and just. One last thing, Naruto. How did you get Danzo to talk, and where did you see him last? He sent one of his agents to test me a few weeks ago. I beat the ink using clown and then followed him back to one of Danzo's lairs or whatever. Sat down to talk to the guy, and then he launches into some bullshit self-justifying speech of how his was the one true way and I should join him. Of course I declined, but while he was talking I noticed some weird chakra signatures in his right arm and eye. From being around Sasuke I knew they were Sharingan and assumed he'd have knowledge. Foolishly he left himself unguarded, so I snatched him. You kidnapped the darkness of shinobi? Yay, seals are wonderful things. Anyway, I stashed him in the Uzumaki mask storage temple, which I fixed up, so you should come by Ba-chan. Eventually he told me how he ordered Itachi to kill the Uchiha behind Gigi's back and how he stole Shisui Uchiha's eye and tried to use it on me. Luckily, I sealed my eyesight before I met him, so it didn't work. He then bit his tongue and bled out, but I have his confession recorded. There is so much of that story that is just, why did you know to seal your eyesight? Asked Tsunade. I do it when I want to push my sensory abilities to their limit. I had my eyes sealed for the last 6 months of the training trip and Pervy Sage didn't even know. The hell you did, that's impossible. Replied Jiraiya. I have them sealed now and neither of you knew, but I can see just as well without it. Most sensor nin are lazy, honestly. I basically can chakra sonar map anywhere I want and the picture in my mind is just lacking all the colors my eyes pick up. Okay, we're going to have you detail about that later. Hand in the recording and then go join your team, Naruto. Tsunade said and watched as the blonde obeyed. After he left she turned toward Jiraiya. This isn't good. He doesn't for a second believe he can't bring Itachi back. I know. We can't have him focused on this, not with his life at risk. Well, what do you suggest, Tsunade? I've had an easier time changing your mind. The kid will tell us what we want to hear and just work around us if need be. Damn it, why couldn't he find a nice girl who wasn't an overly loyal prodigy? Oh, and 5 years his senior. If she does come back I'm going to wring her neck for taking advantage of Naruto. Yay, that poor Naruto, getting to be with the woman he loves. Oh, the horrors. Shut it, perv. On to other matters, are you dead set on infiltrating AIM? Yes, we need the intelligence. Fine, I'll assign you a team. No, it'll be easier if I go alone. The blonde Hokage could only sigh. Jiraiya, be careful, and if things get too dangerous then get out of there. You are still needed here. Jiraiya gave a hearty laugh before replying. I knew you loved me, he said as he leapt out the window. Idiot. When it started, she couldn't say. She would deny it was when she served as his guard. While she had a fondness for the boy, it didn't go beyond that, though a great deal of fondness was there. At first, outside of just being a mission, she couldn't help but see her little brother in Naruto, and it was hard to imagine Sasuke feeling that lonely and isolated, so she violated protocol. In her short time with Naruto, she realized he was different from Sasuke and she liked it. Due to her father's actions, Sasuke was increasingly seeing her as someone to surpass, The seeds of jealousy and resentment were being planted without a care for what it would produce. Her distancing herself from him and the rest of the clan hadn't helped. Naruto, however, was inspired by her. He didn't want to surpass her, he didn't want to become a better version of her, just the best version of himself. It was touching and flattering, and she was sad to see that connection end as she performed her duty to the village. There were times she wondered why she didn't ask Naruto to look after Sasuke. She knows he would have. There likely wasn't much she could ask him to do that he'd flatly refuse, but she didn't take advantage of it. Maybe it was the desire to have something purely for herself. She had wounded Sasuke deeply but had already made peace with the reality that he'd one day kill her and hopefully find resolution in his vengeance. How much more could she give him? How much more did she want to? Whatever the reason, she decided against it, only giving the blonde a short goodbye. The Akatsuki had managed to get some details on him, and Itachi kept track of his progress, being continually pleased with his growth. Once he graduated and started taking proper missions, she was further impressed that her little blonde was becoming something of a shinobi hero. He even managed to stop Sasuke from betraying himself in the village. All were actions worthy of respect, but none could justify why she sought him out in that bar the first time. It certainly wasn't a plan, but felt stronger than a mere whim. She didn't know and still doesn't. That only makes her current situation all the more confusing, because if she didn't understand doing this the first time, she certainly can't explain doing it again. While she found Naruto a compelling conversationalist, it wasn't enough to justify this, but all the same, she had no intention of turning back. Luna, she decided to name her guys, approached Naruto with a natural elegance as the path toward him was cleared. She'd been watching him, and while several young women had attempted to get his attention, it hadn't gone beyond polite small talk. Taking a seat beside him, she could tell her henge immediately caught his eye. It didn't take long for Luna, the freelance journalist, to strike up a conversation with Natsu, the artist. Much like the first time, Itachi enjoyed the easy rapport between the two as they talked about everything and nothing, including just enough truth to make the lies easier. Just like the first time, it didn't take much to get him back to her room. He may not be aware of it, she'd be extremely skeptical if he did, but Naruto had this ability to make you feel like the only person in the room when you had his attention. It was invigorated but also intense and seemed to heighten their current activities. She noted he wasn't as hesitant or nervous this time, a little more assertive as well. The small contented smile he wore as he slept was so endearing she couldn't help but match it. He was the one to vacate the room before morning this time, leaving silently enough that had she been someone else, he'd have left without being noticed. After a second occurrence, she could no longer afford to have her motivations go unknown to her. Simple attraction, she wondered? He was certainly growing into his looks, but wasn't so devastating